Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Roxanne Leffler, and I'm from the SAE Detroit section. I have a special role today in moderating our conversation to bring focus on girls learning engineering and mentoring. We understand many students are interested in STEM fields and not sure of the next steps to take. There is a shortage of talent in certain areas of STEM, which could easily be closed if more women would enter into these fields. Our hopes are you will have an opportunity to learn from our panelists today, from their personal experiences and how SAE has helped them along the way. Please note, prior to the event, students had an opportunity to email in questions, and we will do our best to answer all of them. We also encourage you to write in the chat box any questions and comments you may have along the way. Please know if we do not get to your question, we will share contact information at the end of this program, and you can email them directly to us. And without further ado, please join me as our panelists share a little bit about themselves with you. Amelia, thank you for joining us today, and can you please share a little bit about yourself?
Hello, everyone. This is Amelia Batory. I'm from Romania originally, from a town in Transylvania. Maybe some of you heard of Transylvania. It's not true. In any case, my undergrad is in mechanical engineering from Transylvania University, and I'm not making this up. This is also in Romania. My master's degree is in industrial engineering and systems from the University of Michigan, Dearborn, and I currently work at Bosch in Farmington Hills.
Thank you, Amelia. Mara, you're up next. Would you like to join us?
Hi, everyone. My name is Mellow. I'm from Batavia, New York. I obtained a mechanical engineering degree from the Rochester Institute of Technology. I currently work at L3 Harris Technologies as a senior specialist in systems engineering.
Thank you, Mara. Missy, you're up.
Hi, everyone. My name is Missy Schmelwick. I'm from a small town in New Jersey. I also went to the Rochester Institute of Technology. My major was industrial and systems engineering, and right now I work at General Motors.
Thank you. Laura?
Hi, everyone. My name is Laura Wontrop-Klauser. I'm originally from Towson, Maryland, and I have a bachelor's of engineering from our Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, a master's from the University of Michigan, and I currently work at General Motors as the Cadillac Racing Program Manager.
Thank you, and thank you all for joining us today. Well, now that you've learned a little bit about our panelists, let's jump into our conversations. I would like to start off by asking the panel, what was your favorite activity in college?
I'll take that one, Rox. This one's an easy one for me because it was the activity that I did the most in college, and that was with Formula SAE, which was my introduction into SAE and why I'm still involved with the organization today. Formula SAE was a student project. We designed, built, and raced a Formula-style race car at a global competition in Michigan. We had teams from all over the globe, about 120. And it was one of the coolest things of taking all of that engineering knowledge I was picking up in the classroom and those skills and the equations and applying it to a real world application, which then happened to be a race car, which was pretty cool, especially when they let us drive it around, which was even cooler. So it was a great way for me to build a strong friendship with those who were on the team with me. I still see the, unfortunately, all fellas that were on the team with me. Yearly, we get together. We're still very close. We check in on each other, even though we're scattered across the U.S. And it was a great way to build my resume. When I started talking to companies about, getting into full-time positions after graduation, I was able to answer all the questions with an experience that I had had from Formula SAE, either a leadership experience or a hands-on engineering experience. And there was a lot to talk about, which was cool. It really helped to make the interview feel a little less scary when I knew that I had really great things to talk about. So that was probably my favorite thing that I did in college, and then also the activity that I was the most involved.
Very good. I really hope, Laura, that more will follow in your steps, so the teams will be definitely more diverse, I can go next. Again, my college town, my undergrad was in Romania, and in a town in the mountains. So my favorite activities were hiking in the mountains and ice skating. That was really, really fun, spending a lot of time outside. My favorite part of college was actually working on team projects with my colleagues. And part of that was because I was good, so I enjoyed being good. As Laura mentioned, I had a similar experience. We were very few women in the group. Many times I was the only woman in the group working on a project. I still really enjoyed what I was doing, and whether we were designing a special tool or coming up with basic programming code for CNC machines, I truly enjoyed it, and I never felt like I do not belong there. So yeah, but unfortunately no SAE chapter in my school, so
Okay, well, great. What well, my next question is, where did you find female friends in your engineering school?
So for me, at RET, they actually had a program for incoming women in engineering students. So they actually tried to get you in from high school level to get engaged with the program. And then once you started with the program, you were automatically enrolled in this. So you were invited to all the activities. They did things like resume reviews, interview practice. You got to meet some other engineers from like local companies that came in to talk to you. And we also did volunteer events. So you actually got to work closely with the women your age and get to know them. There's also Society of Women Engineers that a lot of schools have chapters of. You can meet a lot of women that way. You can get involved there. You can be involved or just go to meetings and go to social events and eat ice cream. And also you could do like study groups. Like my school, they tried to pair together similar people. So a lot of female engineers, they tried to pair together in study groups. That also helped.
Great. That's helpful to know that there's other organizations out there to help and that you have that avenue to explore. My next question to the panel is, what was your class load like, and did you ever feel overwhelmed?
Yeah, I can take this one. So as an engineer, no matter what discipline you're pursuing, the workload is going to be extreme. You have a lot to learn in a short amount of time, not just in terms of the technical math and science ability, but you're developing in college your ability to really analytically solve problems, to look at a problem, no matter if it's physics, math, biology, chemistry, and apply your knowledge to work through the steps to root cause and find a solution. So that coursework of not only learning these very technical concepts and theories, but also developing your analytical ability to problem solve, it's a big load. And everyone kind of knows that it's really important to find subgroups, whether it's female, male. It's a really great way to kind of shape the way your brain works and try to help take that burden of the class load and make it a little bit more manageable.
Well, good. Anyone else have anything to add on to that? The workload in school, how did you manage that?
Well, I want to add to what Maura said. As any, the school obviously depends on the school, right? Depends on your major. Engineering and STEM, those are huge fields. I want to point out, I believe there is one place for everyone, and the time to explore career school majors, it's probably for students in starting in high school, and this continues probably in the first 1 or 2 years in college. Maybe advice, if I may, don't feel discouraged. Yeah, there are certain classes very difficult, but those are the ones that gave me the best satisfaction. Yeah, the ones that were easy, I don't even remember about them. But the ones that gave me the most satisfaction were the ones that challenged me, that really made me think hard. and scratch the surface and try to really understand what exactly is behind whatever that was, whether it was the science of materials or a high-level math class. Again, it's okay to explore, it's okay to fail. Maybe your parents will not like me for saying that, but you know, it's part of life and maybe that's needed. Try and find out, but do not get discouraged. Engineering and STEM, they are really beautiful fields. You can have amazing careers.
I think that's a good message, yeah, to share.
Amelia, your comment about failing makes me laugh. The other thing that I think is a new experience for a lot of people when you get into college is most classes are graded on a curve, which means that you could, in theory, get 30% on an exam, but yet still end up with an A because you were the highest percentage in the class, and they do it all relative, which it goes to show you that, yes, this stuff is difficult to get through, but everybody's in the same boat as you are trying to get through it. So, you know, that first test, when you get it back, don't freak out, because by the end of the semester, you'll find that you actually were doing okay, even if the numbers don't logically add up to what they should. So.
Oh, that's a good message to share, for sure. Well, my next question leading into this was, how did you pick your major?
I can start with that one. So in high school, I personally really enjoyed math and science, and my career counselors encouraged me to pursue engineering. Obviously, as a female, I was very scared to do that because I didn't know any other females who were in any kind of field like that. But I decided to give it a try, and I actually started out in biomedical engineering. And I did that for about 3 years, and I decided it was not for me, and I almost quit. But then I actually met with all of the different engineering professors in our college and talked to them about the different fields. And I actually changed my major halfway through, which sounds like something you can't do, but you really can. And I only added, I think, 2 semesters to my curriculum, so it really wasn't that bad. And at the end of the day, I graduated doing something I really enjoyed.
That had to be very challenging, Missy. You know, in the middle and not really sure if that's what you want to do. So yeah, again, that's a good learning curve.
Yeah, and I mean, nobody really knows what they want to do. You have to try things out and see what's out there. And for the most part, a lot of engineering programs are very similar the first couple of years, so it's pretty easy to switch.
For me, I ended up going into mechanical engineering, which is probably the largest subset of engineering that covers all different things. So the good news is when you get into mechanical, you can specialize in different areas, and some, you know, might appeal to you more than others. So I was under a pretty big umbrella there. And the reason that I chose that is because I had a high school teacher in math, Mrs. Potts, who caught that I was pretty good at math and I enjoyed it. So she kind of gently pushed me into the direction of engineering. And I have always had a passion for cars. So for me, I was actually thinking about going in to become a mechanic. And when she mentioned engineering, I was like, oh, well, maybe I can do mechanical engineering. It's close enough to the same word. And it ended up being a good choice because I could still have my passion for cars coming and working for General Motors, but yet I got to get, level to the engineering side of things and really give me a huge blanket to fall under if I decide that I want to make a shift and go work on airplanes or trains or, work on buildings or anything along those lines. It's great to be able to have that flexibility.
Yeah, I guess for me, it's quite a different story. I actually won a contest when I was 12 to go to a NASCAR race. So as a 12-year-old going to something I had never experienced before, I was all giddy and excited, and I got to go on pit lane. I got to go into a car and look around. And it was at that moment, it was this weekend when I was a young kid, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to work in NASCAR. Like, this is the coolest. So I got really into cars after that. And I actually bought my first project car when I was 14, just so that I could tinker and learn. And my dad, he was like, I don't know how to work on cars. This is all you. So he bought me books and we worked on it together. Ultimately, I decided to pursue mechanical engineering to go into the automotive field. But something Laura just mentioned really hits home. I did my first 5 years of my career in automotive at General Motors, and I've recently pivoted fields, and that's okay because mechanical engineering degrees, industrial, whatever field you go into, there's so many different industries that you're applicable to. So even when you get into that industry, if you just want to change, if it's not right, or if you're just feeling like you want to experience something new, engineering gives you this great pathway to explore many different options. So you really can't go wrong with whatever discipline you choose or why you come to that choice in the end.
Okay, I'm gonna chime in. Really, I would summarize it, there are, I think, four items that just trying to think back when I was in high school. And the first one was I was good in math. The second one, I liked and still do problem solving. Next, whenever I watched a movie, when I was in elementary school and high school, and the movie had a woman engineer, I would feel so inspired. And it just, I like seeing these women making an impact. They felt so important, and I just somehow saw myself in them. And yeah, there aren't too many movies with women engineers, and I still remember them. And the last one, I actually followed my older brother. That helped, that gave me courage. He encouraged me, and it's important to have that role model and that encouragement in your life, whether that's a sibling, whether that's your parents, whether it's us as women mentors who are more than welcome to have a dialogue with you now, today, or even afterwards. If you have any question, if you're not sure about what career you want, if you are thinking about engineering, but you're not quite sure, we would be more than happy to talk to you.
Yeah, and I wanted to add one quick thing based on what we all said. You don't have to be good at math to be a good engineer. My husband actually is terrible at math, and he's an engineer, and he's an extremely talented one. So it happened to be that I think all of us are good at math, but if you're sitting there going, I hate algebra, or I can't stand differential equations are the fun one when you get to college, just bite it and get through it. If you like physics, if you like chemistry, if you like those type of classes, any of the sciences or math, you can find a place in engineering. You don't have to be like a rock star at all of them. So
we are only a sample size of 4, so
yes.
Well, we have a great question that came in, and it's for the panelists. What advice would you give your young self? Anyone like to take that one on?
Yeah, I think I can jump in here. I think when I was growing up, I was super hard on myself. I think there's a common theme with females today that we have this imposter syndrome, what they call it. And I think if I could go back and talk to my younger self, I would say that it's okay to fail, because with those failures, you learn and you grow, and it helps direct you where you want to go. And sometimes a failure is more valuable than actually a success is. So as you progress through high school and through college, just remember that when you fail, you can be upset, you can be sad, but try to remember what you learned from that experience, and try to give yourself a break and be nice to yourself, be kind to yourself.
Well, we had another great question that came in, which is, do you mentor others at this time? And I know working with you ladies at the section with our younger members, I know that is to be true. But is there anyone that has, you may be taken under your wing, or, and kind of help them along?
Well, I would say that my mentees tend to be young women from the industry, but not only young women, really. I was also part of some of SAE's mentoring events. And that brings me to another really important point. And maybe a bit going back to the previous question, what I would tell my youngest self would be to reach out more, to build my network, and to be more brave in that. Maybe I was not necessarily an outgoing person, but I also felt that I always had a feeling I have to prove myself before I even asked a question. And Practical advice, it's okay to open your mouth, even if you don't know 100% what you are saying. Ask questions, be brave about that, and build a network. I see a big difference in the young people I mentor, whether they are men or women, and that's still the case today. They tend to be more brave, they tend to be more courageous, and go into areas they don't necessarily know that very well. So it is really a passion for me to mentor women in following their passion, being brave about it, and reaching out, build networks, reach out to organizations like SAE, or something specific to your career, whether it's Society of Women Engineers or other associations and groups. Those are really, really important.
Good. That's great feedback and good advice, Amelia. That's really good. My next question would be, why did you choose your first job or the company, and what was your career progression?
I can start with that. My first job right after college was actually as a math teacher, and maybe that surprises even you who know me. And that was not because I stopped liking engineering, but because back then in Romania, there were some changes, major changes, and the economy completely collapsed. Why I'm even saying that to you is because luckily with my degree in engineering, it was fairly easy to find a job even under those conditions. And if somebody would ask me now, what's the best investment of my life, definitely would be my engineering degree. And that helped me many times in life. You know, after 1 year, I was able to already move on to get an engineering job. When I moved to the US again, I was able to find a job as a quality and launch engineer at Lear Corporation. Then I went on and got a job in program management at Bosch, and currently I'm the director of sales and program management at Bosch. So it really helped me have the career I wanted, and I used my base to find out what I like. But engineering is so vast. This field is so vast, and the skills that you learn are transferable. You can. I was able to transfer my skills into every single job that I have. I could have specialized into one specific field if I wanted. My desire was more to learn about the business as a whole and the industry as a whole. And I really enjoyed rotating through this type of quality, launch management, project management, engineering, sales. I could see how the different fields connect. And my degrees actually, I believe, give me credibility that I can tackle difficult tasks and difficult topics.
That's great. Anyone else have anything to share on that level?
When I was looking into figuring out what to do, being in the Formula SAE team meant that we already had a connection back to General Motors, and I had done a couple summers with them, so that they were definitely on my list as an option. But when I was a senior in college, I learned about a position I had never heard of called engineering sales. And what you do there is you need to have an engineering background because you're representing a piece of technology and trying to get people to buy into it. So the companies that I talked to would have been either with HVAC systems, so selling furnaces and things along those lines, or I even talked to Lincoln Electric, who does welders, which I thought was pretty cool. And part of that program was they train you to weld, so you can go and demonstrate the product in addition to talk about it. But I graduated in 2008 from college, and depending on what age you are, you may or may not remember that was not a great year to be trying to find jobs. The economy wasn't looking so hot. So when I brought a bunch of different considerations together, sales just didn't seem like a smart idea because a lot of those jobs are based off of commission and how much you're able to do. So going more the traditional engineering route, I was picking between GM and construction companies and going into more of a civil engineering kind of role with project management. And ultimately I chose GM because, as I had said, I have the passion for the automobiles. The offer that they gave me was strong. I was familiar with the company. And the other part is a personal one. My boyfriend at the time, now husband, came out to work for GM as well. And even though I made my decision independent of our relationship and I did what was right for me, it worked out well that we would be heading to the same company. He's also at GM. And you know, it was nice to know that I moved out to Michigan, away from Maryland and New York, which I knew, and had other people around that I could be close with. And I will say this, making friends is really, at least for me, it was easy when I got out here. Even in big companies like GM, they had a new hires group that you could get involved with and you were all in the same boat. There was other opportunities like SAE, Detroit section had meet and greets. So I got to meet a lot of people through that. But just knowing that I had Eric there as well was good for me. And it was nice for taking that first step. So, you know, there's a lot of factors that will lead into choosing where you want to go. And I have no regrets. My career at GM has been really cool. I've had an opportunity to touch a lot of different areas of the product development cycle. And my current job in racing is my dream job. So, you know, it's funny how things will usually work out. And sometimes I wonder if graduating in 2008 and having the economic pressures that helped kind of push into where I went was the thing that worked out great for me.
Wow, that's fantastic. And again, like you said, it's about the networking and getting to know people to help guide you along the way as well. So important message to learn here. Well, we have a question that has come in from Jasmine, and she would like to know, how do you manage the workload and stress of working in a STEM field, which is dominated by men?
I can try to answer the question. Thank you so much, and please keep them coming. Maybe I'm gonna approach it from the work-life balance. I'm also a mother, I'm a wife, and I'm, you know, my goal was to grow my career at the same time, and I was not willing to, and I'm not willing to compromise. I want it all. So I guess what I've seen over the past few years is a significant shift towards creating a more flexible and inclusive workplace. Many of us now work from home, and that's a special circumstances because of the coronavirus pandemic. However, the shift actually started happening years ago. At the beginning, just little by little, a pilot here, another pilot here to see how that works, how the associates respond. At Bosch, where I work now, for example, I was able to craft my working schedule, the location of my work, in such a way that actually I was able to pick up my daughter from school and then take her home, maybe give her a snack, or when she was a bit older, she would, you know, she wouldn't need that help from me. And then I would just continue to work from home. That helped a lot. And the fact that that was a benefit, I would say. It was not looked upon in any way negative at work, so I did not have negative consequences. And that helped a lot to reach my goals, to do it all. And I believe that the current situation, as unfortunate as it is, I believe it will just prove and demonstrate to even more companies that working remotely and focusing more on results, not location, is actually still good for their organization and can bring good results. That being said, that helps. Again, I do not want to say that this only helps women. It helped my husband as well, because we try to the whole time to split the workload 50-50. But it does help a lot to be focused on your family, to stay focused on your family while you are still focused on your career.
Well, thank you, Amelia.
Oh, sorry.
Missy?
Yeah, I was going to say, for me, it's about having a support system at work. So like the first job I was in, there was actually a lot of women on my team, which is pretty rare. So I stayed in touch with them, and just having them, like, you know, when I went to my next job, I was the only female. But being able to then connect with them again, meet up for coffee, go out to lunch, and just kind of run things by them, and having previous female managers stay in touch with other women in the workplace and try to get their perspectives on it. A lot of women have been through a lot of the things that you're going through, and they genuinely want to help you for the most part. From what I've experienced, it's very much a lift you up type of workplace. So yeah, having support system at work and at home is really critical.
That's great. And yes, having a strong support system is very helpful. With that said, there's a question that came in for the panelists. If I want to become an engineer aside of my regular classes, what other electives should I take to be successful in today's workforce?
Yeah, I can take this one. I think that maybe the other panelists will disagree with me, but I don't think there's any set course that we can recommend that's going to be helping you achieve a goal. I think that it really depends on what you want to do. I think Laura nailed it on the head when she said that in mechanical engineering, you can kind of specialize in different areas. So for example, I have my minor in environmental. I was working in electric cars, which is somewhat working towards that environmental goal of the future in the United States. So it's just interesting that you just have to follow your passion, because if you follow your passion, no matter what those courses are, if you're interested in them, they're going to help you get to in your career where you want to end up. So don't limit yourself of what you think other people want you to have necessarily. Follow what you think is beneficial and what's going to help you achieve your goals in your career.
I would add to that, use those to explore other fields. You really don't know what you're going to end up liking. If the question was more in the direction of what helps you be more prepared for the future, there is no doubt that goes into computer science, software, machine learning, and so forth, so forth. I encourage my daughter. My daughter is interested in physics. I always encourage her to stay true to what she's interested. She's interested also in environmental sciences, and she's a freshman in college. I do encourage her to also explore some programming, some software, because I believe it's going to be important. And in the future, I believe that the disciplines as we know them now will become more interconnected. We are going to hear some majors that we never heard of before. If you are now, just for fun of it, I challenge you to go on GM's website, jobs, careers, and look for what type of jobs they are looking for, what type of expertise. You can do that with Bosch, you can do that with any company you want. And you are gonna see that, you know, it's shifting a bit from the typical mechanical engineer or electrical engineer. Now you're gonna see many different other jobs. And many of those have to do with software or Java developers or so forth. Does that mean all of us need to go there? No, absolutely not, because it's important to do what you do with passion, but it's important to also explore other areas.
Another thing that would be good for you to look into is any type of classwork that allows for project learning with teams. I think the future is really going to be around smart communication amongst people with where we're going. And the more you can practice that at an early age on how to collaborate with different groups, how to work together to a common goal and get some experience, the better off you're going to be. I know right now with how everything is upside down with all of us working from home and virtually and all of that, communication has been so important because you don't have that office environment at the moment. So these skills are only going to make all of us better as we keep going through, and you learn them the best when you do projects with people and you have common goals.
Well, interesting question that did come in, panel, is the question came in of how COVID-19 and working from home has affected your job and what technologies have helped you to better do your job. So obviously your jobs have changed since, you know, you're working from, some of you may still be working from home. So anyone want to take that question on?
Sure, I can jump in.
Go for it.
Yeah. So my job was previously all in the office. I had to show up every single day, and we had General Motors had just done all this open workspace. So it was a gorgeous, brand new office. And then all of a sudden, in a blink of an eye, we were working from home. And it's really cool because we utilize tools that we've always used, such as Skype. That's like a meeting tool that we use in the industry. People got with, because we used to get into meeting rooms and use whiteboards, and now we found ways to do digital whiteboards. We found ways to do technical reviews and part teardowns virtually using video type features. So I think that this whole COVID-19 has enabled us to, kind of like Amelia said earlier, enabled us to realize that remote work is feasible and it's productive, and it can give people more flexibility to pursue their work-life balance in a completely different way. And maybe you won't have to go to that location to work anymore, just visit now and then. So I think it's really going to shift the way the industry is, and there's already trends of people moving and shifting around and kind of being closer to family. So I think it's really cool that the technologies are coming out to enable that work remotely that previously no one would have ever taken a chance on.
Right.
Letting this many people work from home at one time. It was kind of a forced learning, but it's very cool to see the technologies emerge to allow us to do this.
We're definitely learning new technology. So another question that came in from Jasmine, she would like to know, panel, do you ever feel discriminated against for being a woman in your field?
Yes, the favorite question. Sometimes I feel different for being a woman in the field, and in racing, it's pretty dismal compared to the rest of the industry in terms of percentages. On the technical side of racing, in the series that I run in, which is IMSA, it's me and one other woman, and that's it, of a table of 20 or more people. So there's times where it comes across, and I will say this, the people that I interface with on the technical side, the sanctioning body, the different OE representatives, the teams, they all are great. They do not make me feel different. They get after me when they're angry, and they thank me when they're happy. And it's the same across the board. Where I find it sometimes is actually with the fans. And I have an example of this. I was standing under the, in the paddock area by one of our race cars, and I was talking to my colleague who had our Camaro race program, who was a man, and we were chatting away, and a fan walked up, and he had a question about the Cadillac race car. I had Cadillac branding on. I was, looking like I should be there. And he turned to my colleague who had Chevrolet on and asked him the question, like I wasn't even standing there for a second. And to my colleague's credit, he politely said, actually, I'm gonna, have you ask Laura here. She's the program manager. And he directed, and we had the conversation. And those situations at first really started to bother me. It felt like, come on, what's going on here? But then I realized what was happening. And all of us have a little bit of a bias an unconscious bias that we don't realize. And because there's an image of a certain type of person that's done a job for years, and in the case of racing program manager, usually a man, people think that when they're looking for the person who's going to answer their question, they're looking for this fuzzy image that they have in their head, which is a man. So logically, it was my coworker standing next to me because he was a man. But what we have to do is we have to change that bias so that they realize that it could be a woman. And, you know, I was able to answer his question and move on. And I'd like to think that the next time he's looking for somebody in that position, it wouldn't matter if it was a man or a woman. It could be anybody because he had to experience that. And I think what's so great and why we're glad that you all are here with us for this panel is we want to continue to build the numbers of women in all these different jobs, because the more that we get out there and the more we're visually seen, the more people will start to realize, oh yeah, this fuzzy picture in my head could have long hair, or short in my case, could have, you know, it could be a man, woman, it could be anybody. And I think it's working. I think it's shifting. And even just, I've been in racing for 4 years, and even from the beginning to where I am now, I feel like things like that experience that I had are going away slowly. And people are not weirded out when they meet me and they go, oh, you're the program manager? No, I don't get that anymore, which is great. And I think that, you know, this is helping to move that needle forward.
That's great to hear. And thanks for sharing the example with us, Laura. Anyone else have anything on that line they'd like to share?
I'm a little bit different than Laura's experience, but when I first started out in industry, my first full-time job, I was in a garage type setting. So typically in the male-dominated area, you're working with technicians and mechanics and people who have worked on cars their whole life. And when I walked into these facilities, it was just immediately evident that they didn't think that I could do anything. I went to pick up, like, for example, a tire, and somebody's like, oh no, honey, no, you don't do that. I'll do it for you. And I think changing that stereotype is a huge thing. I got this, and I picked up the tire and I lifted it around, and I was able to identify and really connect with them. And I think I changed their stereotype of, oh, she is a woman, but she's able to handle her own in the garage setting. And I wasn't expecting this, but now I'm different. And by the time that I spent my year in this garage type setting, no one questioned me by the end of it. So I think Laura is completely right, is that a lot of people just have these preconceived notions, and we're here to change it. That's why the 4 of us are on this panel. That's why we encourage more people to get into this. Let's change that stereotype and help people see that it could be anybody in any role.
Well said. Thank you. Well, Sue would like to ask, how did you know this is what you wanted to do?
For me, it started with Legos as a little child, Duplo, and it led into, you know, math and engineering, and then the cars. I found my passion. I wanted to do something with cars, and that's how I got into it. And it just logically made sense to move into engineering from there. So I'm a pretty cut and dry case. I think my parents were not surprised when I came and told them what I wanted to do.
Yeah,
right.
maybe I'm not a typical engineering, and I was probably not a typical. Just maybe to balance out what Laura said. For me, again, the fact that engineering appears to have this very kind of like a set method of solving problems, I think that was for me very, very attractive. Plus, it felt like will bring me a strong foundation. There are many things that are important, obviously, but I felt, and obviously one example is people who go into medicine. There is a purpose, a clear purpose for that, and that's how I felt about engineering. I felt a clear purpose that I will be able to actually shape something, change something, do something, make something. And for me, that was something I could grasp, that concept at the time, at that age. And engineering really felt like would help me achieve those goals of having an impact.
That's great. We have, actually, we have a slide here we're going to show you. It's something, many competitions that SAE International has as their competitions. And I know a couple of you on the panel have been very involved in some of these programs. Mark, would you like to jump in here and just kind of explain what they're about and what you've participated in?
Yeah, so Laura earlier was discussing her entire experience in the Formula SAE experience, building a race car. And I have a similar but different story. So Laura's experience was very much, she was in a male-dominated team, but I actually started a new team at my university, Rochester Institute of Technology, and we made it all females. And the point of doing this was to really encourage people that maybe didn't feel confident enough in themselves or their abilities as an engineer to get into this field. And it was an incredible learning experience, an incredible way to bring my skills that I was learning in the classroom and put them in a hands-on environment. So you can see here Formula SAE Electric at the bottom and Formula Hybrid. That's what I did as long with Missy. We were on the same team actually. So very similar to the experience that Laura had. It's an incredible opportunity to apply your skills, to learn essential teamwork and communication skills that you just can't get in the classroom. And the industry really loves it. No matter what industry you're going into, these skills are transferable. So if you have any interest in this, I highly encourage looking into this as you're looking at schools and kind of planning your future.
I also wanted to add, on that team, we had engineers of every background and made.
Okay, we had a little freeze up, Missy, but that's all right. Laura, I know you were involved in these programs as well. In fact, you're still involved with the SAE programs and some of the competitions here. Would you like to just elaborate a little bit on what you have going on?
Sure. After I graduated and moved out to Michigan, I was, you had withdrawal period where you'd been on the team for 4 years and loved it and wasn't ready to let go. So I decided to go back and volunteer at the Michigan competition. And it's turned out to be a really great experience for me. I started just doing whatever they needed done to get the competition rolling. I announced for a little while, and then I was helping with a couple other areas, but I worked my way out to the dynamic events that we do and eventually worked up to being in charge of them, which is really cool. As a volunteer, you get the experience to sign up for leadership stuff because they don't pay you, you're doing it for free. And it was neat because it gave me the ability to try out leadership skills and put them on my resume. And it's actually helped me with growing at GM because we always run into the same problem where you apply to a job and they want you to have leadership skills, but you say, well, how am I supposed to develop leadership skills if I don't get into that job and try it out? And you get stuck in this catch-22. Well, this is a way that I found that I could develop the skills so that when I was applying for jobs, I could say that I had already gained a lot of them. We have the competition is in May every year out at Michigan International Speedway. It's a 3 to 4 day event, depending on what you're volunteering with. And it's great. It's an opportunity to see what's coming down the pipeline in terms of talent coming from the colleges, all the crazy design ideas that they bring on the car, just that, you know, a little bit of mentorship. It's that quick mentoring where someone can come up to you as a volunteer and talk to you and ask you questions. And it's been a great experience and one that I look forward to every year volunteering for. It's a lot of work. You freeze your butt off at times. It was hailing on us during one of the competitions. It was pretty bad, but it's worth all of it because of, you know, making sure that the students have a chance to do this project and work on those skills, as well as, you know, keeps me connected with what's going on up in the pipeline coming up. So, you know, just like Mara and Missy were saying, if you have the opportunity to participate in something like this, it doesn't have to be this exactly, jump on it because you will not regret the skills that you learn in the areas of teamwork and leadership and organization and everything. And it's only going to help you in any job that you have, even at home life. I learned negotiation skills in Formula SAE and my poor husband, let me tell you. So, you know, you pick up a lot of great things.
Well, great. And Missy, well, welcome back.
Hi.
You may have technical issues along with this. That's okay. We just go with it. So
yeah, I was just going to add that even if you're not interested in cars, we had a lot of girls on our team who were industrial engineers, chemical engineers, biomedical engineers, and they didn't want to go into automotive. But this is just an opportunity to learn new skills, learn how to use things in the machine shop, learn negotiation skills, like Laura said. There's just so much you can learn here, and it's a great opportunity.
These are great programs. And with that said, I would also like to point out that at SAE International, they do have student chapters. And at the section, what we like to try to do is we like to try to put you with a mentor if you're interested, and if you're interested in these programs. So we will try to connect you with somebody at a student chapter that you can talk to and ask questions to. So that's available to you as well. And if you're not out of the Detroit section, we're happy to put you in touch with somebody at your local section in your state. We're happy to help you out with that as well. With that said, I also want to let you know that SAE Detroit section has a scholarship program for $20,000 that is available to a graduating student who is interested in a STEM field and has a parent or guardian who is an SAE member within our section. So I encourage anyone that is, in Detroit local to look into this program if you're interested in a STEM program and you're a graduating student. So it looks like we are drawing close to the end of our time. And if there's not any additional questions in the chat box, let's take another look and see. We thank you all for the questions that have come in today. It's been very helpful, and we hope that our panel has been able to share some insight with you. So we'll give it a minute to see if there's any questions in there. We're getting a lot of good feedback about the panel today, ladies, so thank you very much. One of the questions that did come in is, what do you love most about SAE membership?
That's an amazing question. That's the people, yes.
The people.
The people.
Yeah.
The people, the network, and there are, you can explore or you can send an email to any of us and we can provide links. There is more information. So SAE has also a foundation involved in programs for K-12, such as A World in Motion, AWHIM. Maybe some of you had or have been part of those programs in your elementary school. I'm also a volunteer for this program, and I think the kids enjoy it. Again, they are more targeted towards younger elementary age students. And there are many, many programs. It's almost like there is something for everyone. And the field is now really getting even beyond the typical engineering. And I feel that there is something for everyone there of value.
Okay, well, and Amelia, one of the questions did come in is, can you tell us a little bit more about AWHIM? Because the question before that was, we have some younger students that are interested in engineering, and what is the level where they could start learning?
AWHIM starts in kindergarten. There are programs designed specifically for a specific age, but they really start at the kindergarten level. And it goes all the way to 8th grade. Obviously, the complexity of the program will be, it is tailored, and it's a very structured, and many volunteers throughout many years had improved the program. This is actually AWHIM is offered, is sponsored by many companies in such a way that the that it's made free for the schools. Prior to the pandemic, we would go into the classroom and help with the program, and we are hoping to do that again, hopefully next year. Yeah, but I believe, and if somebody wants to learn more about this, please reach out to me. I will provide you some information. SAE had developed a program that can be also used virtually, or for the in the house, in your house, if you don't go to school, if you have online learning. So please just reach out to me. I believe that Roxanne, you are gonna give maybe the contact information at the end, and I would be more than happy to give you more information.
Absolutely. And just for those that may be asking, AWHIM is the acronym for A World in Motion.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, it looks like we have come to the end of our discussion. I would like to thank you for joining us today. We will, I'm putting up an email address here that you can contact us with any additional questions you may have, and we can direct them to the panel. So thank you again for spending your time with us. We hope you enjoyed this discussion as much as we enjoyed sharing it with you, and we hope everyone has a good evening. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.